freaky friends. This is Colleen.
And this is Margaret.
And
we're the Cousins Weird.
And we haven't been together in 100 years, and we haven't recorded in 500 years. But we're here, finally.
Yes.
Our worlds have not collided. And
I'm recovering. I had to have ankle surgery again. So I'm 6 more weeks non-weight bearing out of work. You know, thank God I have a knee scooter that my younger sister gifted it to me when I broke my ankle over a year ago, and I'm very glad I have it now because I would hate to have to haul my fat ass around on crutches because that would suck.
Crutches are the worst thing ever. Like, I can't describe anything worse, like torture, than having to be without your arms and legs at the same time.
It's terrible.
And to get the armpit pain and the elbow pain and all the other things.
Yes, and the shoulder pain. And like, I fell down the stairs at my house inside I didn't trip on anything. I just, like, for my own grace, you know. And now you're gonna try to give me these 2 long sticks to balance on, and
you're like, I was just walking.
Right, and I just hurt myself just walking normally. Like, not a good idea.
Now I have to balance on 2 sticks.
Yeah.
With one immobile leg.
Sticks in your hand and use these to walk. Excuse me.
And I have to keep one foot raised at the same time.
Yeah. You have 1 foot, but 2 sticks. It's like, no thanks, I'm good.
That knee scooter is the best thing ever invented.
It is. And I'm like, I have not used crutches yet this time around. I did before because I was nervous about things, but I have just used the knee scooter. So I actually didn't. Renee sent the knee. I got the knee scooter like 3 days into when I broke myself before.
Right.
So I actually used a walker because it was more stable, and I was like, I'm really out of shape. So I'm like, I can't hold myself up on crutches and balance. I go, how about we get a walker that's way easier?
Makes
hopping around on 1 foot. No thanks. I'll pass. Yeah. Knee scooter, best invention ever.
Best thing.
I don't know who did it, but I would kiss him on the mouth. It's like the best thing. It really is. So yeah, I've basically been doing nothing but watching. Right now, I'm rewatching Gilmore Girls. I'm already almost to the end of season 3 in a week because I haven't been doing anything else but watching television.
Right.
Yeah. And my 10-year-old Evie has just decided she wants to be a chef when she grows up.
Oh, like,
and so she wants to. We've been watching the summer baking championship, and she loves it.
That's fun.
So we were talking about, like, I'm a big proponent of BOCES and trade, like learning a trade, you know. And I want all of my kids to take BOCES, at least try, you know. Mm-hmm. And Evie at first wanted to do cosmetology, and then I go, you know, they also have culinary arts, and you can learn to cook. She's like, I want to do that. I'm like, okay.
Totally
learn to do
fun.
Go. Okay, it's fun.
I've been getting ready for this baby, doing nursery things and stuff, and just there's been like just all these stupid little things happen that have, like, my washer broke, and then, you know, those stupid cars, they're loud.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
A lot of it too is I'm at my parents' house because I still have what they call like a soft cast or a soft splint on my leg because I had surgery. So like a week from today, so the 10th, I go back to Syracuse to have them give me the permanent, like the hard
one
cast. So they usually give you a boot. He goes, unless there's issues, and then they'll put a hard cast on it. But I think it's because I have to check my incisions and stuff. So like, I don't want to have to go up and down stairs with this thing on.
No.
My house, I can't get into my house without going upstairs. So
my
parents have a step, so I'm staying with them.
Way easier.
Yeah, and I'm in the front, the computer room where the computer is. It's in the front of the house, And their house is closer to the road, and I have the window open, so like I can hear like every car that drives by. It literally sounds like it's right outside the
It
window.
sounds like they're driving through your room.
Yeah. It sounds like I'm out sitting next to the road.
Yeah. But I just had a bunch of weird, dumb things happen, but everything worked out. I'm really proud of myself because my washer broke a couple days ago, and I was freaking out about it because I'm like, I don't want to buy a new washer. So I did some troubleshooting, figured out the problem. I ordered the part. The part came in way earlier. It was supposed to come in on the 11th. It came in today. I took apart the washer, changed out the part, put it back together, and it works.
That's awesome.
I said, Dad, we're going to do this together. I was like, I'm Russ Main's daughter. I can do anything. And we did it. I did it. And I was like, I know Dad's proud of me right now.
I love that. I love it.
And I've had like some really cool things happen the last couple weeks, and we haven't talked to each other about my dad. Like I had two there's this woman I know in my tarot class that is a medium, and she pulled me aside and asked me if my dad wore suspenders. And he always wore suspenders. And I said,
always
yes.
has suspenders on.
She's like, well, he's here with you today. She's like, he's standing behind you, like showing me his suspenders. And this is hard to talk about without even like getting emotional, but
I'm gonna cry.
She said, he is so excited. There's a baby. He's so excited about a baby. It's a little boy. And he wants you to know he's looking out for the baby.
I'm gonna cry right now.
I know. I was crying. And then he wanted me to tell my mom that he's so happy that she's able to get out and do things because she couldn't for so long, and because he was sick, and that he's happy she's out doing things and smiling, and so that made her feel really good. But she's like, he's with you all the time. And then I just did an angel card reading. There's a woman there that does those, and Dad was there. She can see your past one, your loved ones that have passed, and Dad was there. And she's like, if you feel like something on your shoulder, it's your dad. He's squeezing your arm, and he keeps telling me how proud he is of you. She's like, he's right here with you, like cheering you on and like supporting you. And my grandma was there, and Aunt Bobby wasn't there.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really cool. I highly suggest doing an angel card reading. That was an amazing experience. Like, she said that around me are all the women that have passed on our mom's side, and then on the outside of them are all the women that passed on my dad's side. And I have all these female like supporters in my like corner. And this is the I mean, I knew my dad would show up there. I know he's with me all the time. I can feel it. But having Grandma Aunt Bobby there was so cool. And then she said, my great grandfather is here, and he's wearing a old military uniform, and he has some connection to you, that he needs you to know his story. There's a secret he needs you to tell. And I was talking to Mom about it, and then we realized it's my great grandfather is William Daly. Do you remember my dad had a diary of his great grandfather was in the Civil War.
Okay.
And his name is William Daly, and we have his journal from the Civil War. So I just got it tonight at my mom's house, and I started reading it because I'm like, he was in the room and he wanted to pass knowledge to me, she said. Anyway, the whole thing was so fascinating and amazing, and
that's cool.
I've just did some really like cool, like, I like know my dad's with me, but to get that validation was twice in a week's period of time was pretty awesome.
That is awesome,
Colleen. Yeah. So I know, and that's why I said today, I was like, I know you're here, Dad, with me. We're gonna fix this washer together. And I took it apart and I put it back together just like he would. And I was so proud of myself.
That's amazing. That's how Ruben is. He's like my fixer. So I've gotten pretty lazy with things.
Hey, if you have someone that can do it, it's
he's
great.
Just like, but he's so good at it. You know, he's like your dad. Like he can he fixed our shower with a piece of ribbon. Just like, this is temporary, but it's working. I'm like, it is working. And then he got the actual like clamp he needed, but like he first fixed it like just with ribbon, and he wrapped it and tied it.
MacGyver.
He is. He's the Asian MacGyver. Yeah.
That's funny.
But like if I have even at work, like my steamer stopped working. I'm like, this stupid thing. I brought it home. He fixed it. Like, saved me $200 buying a new one. Right. Like, great.
That's why I told Richard, you owe me $500 because we didn't have to buy a new washer because I fixed it.
Right. You just take that. We'll buy some new shoes with that money.
Yeah, right. Oh man. So that's my news for recent times.
I have nothing because, I'm doing nothing.
I know. I remember after I had my neck surgery, I got super I think it's like that after surgery, there's a adrenaline drop or a trauma, something response you have from it. And it makes you just feel disconnected or something. That's how I feel.
That's how I feel too. And even I have Ruben's come to he comes and hangs out with me, and a lot of times he just sits in a room with me, and it's I want to talk to him, but I don't know what to talk about.
You're I have done nothing. I have nothing to say.
I've got nothing. I'm tapped out.
Right.
And you think me, I'm Miss Chatty Cathy.
Right.
I don't. You think I'd want to I'd be talking nonstop, and it's the opposite. It's really weird.
Right. Well, it's a weird thing that happens. I don't know. I mean, that was the only surgery I've ever had, and I didn't know that would be a thing, but it definitely was. And I got a little depressed and felt so disconnected.
I'm feeling it.
Yeah. And the inability to do what you want to do when you want to do it sucks too.
I know. I just want to go somewhere that isn't here.
Yeah.
Your mom and dad are having a 4th of July thing tomorrow. My parents are going, but
yeah.
I mean, I technically could go, but I have to use the bathroom at some point, and I don't the thought of using
stairs,
having to go up the stairs is just ugh.
And then why risk hurting yourself trying to get through to the yeah. Because
getting there, I have the knee scooter. It's not a big deal, but then it's I have to go up the stairs, and I don't have the hard cast, and it's just I am not allowed to put any weight on this, so it's just
right.
Yeah. So as much as I'd like to socialize, it's just not feasible. So it's fine.
Well, now that we
fine.
Completely made everyone sad and emotional.
You made me cry.
I know. Should we talk about our episode?
Sure.
So I didn't even think I was going to have one this week. I honestly thought I'm not going to have time to do this. Because we're getting ready to go to camp next week and all the things. And I was like, oh gosh. But then I read this weird thing and I was like, oh, I could do one on this because it's not going to be very long, but it's weird and interesting, I guess. And it's kind of like a true crime-ish, but not. So we're going to talk about the disturbing and mysterious series of events that gripped England in the 1990s, the late 1900s, as I like to call it, and make myself feel real old. The late 1900s.
Okay.
It made families frightened and left authorities, police, confused and baffled. That is what could possibly be happening. Reports started to emerge that individuals posing as social workers would enter people's homes attempting to take their children. And they weren't social workers. But they were saying they were social workers to a point where people thought they were and allowing them into their home. And so why were they doing this? What was the point of it? What? And they earned the name of phantom social workers.
Oh.
So Across England, parents started receiving unexpected visits from people claiming to be social workers. They would arrive with official-looking identification. They claimed that they needed to check on the welfare of the children. But obviously, there was something not quite right about it.
Yeah.
Typically, at that point in time, when a social worker was going to come to a home, there would be like a formal thing. It was formal, like a formal thing. They appeared unannounced, and they were really weird acting. Like they seemed official, but there was something off. So what would happen with your home, you get a knock on the door, and a well-dressed person flashes a badge at you and states they need to check your child. So you're like, okay, because they have a badge, and you're like afraid to say no. So you let them in your house. And they start to ask some really invasive questions. Then they would sometimes attempt to take your child for further examinations. They wanted to remove the children from the home and examine them.
No, thanks.
Yeah. So there was a woman, one of the reports was a woman named Ann Wiley, and she said that a woman posing as a health visitor showed up at her home shortly after her 20-month-old son was hospitalized for an asthma attack. According to Wiley, the woman didn't have identification, which immediately tipped her off that wasn't quite right. She also saw a man waiting by the car that the so-called social worker had arrived in, which she thought was strange that there was a man standing outside waiting. And many times the other reports people had made, it was the same thing. It was more than one person, which was odd because typically it would just be one person coming. When Wiley asked for more information about the purpose of the woman's visit, the woman pulled out a file that appeared to be her son's medical record. So that made her think, okay, well, maybe she is official. She has his medical records. That's weird. But then she just started getting like this weird vibe from her. Like, this can't be right. Like, she doesn't have a badge. She asked her for more information. And then finally the lady left because the mom was just not kind of falling for it. So she called the local health office and found out, of course, that the woman was not a social worker. They had no one coming there to her home to check on anything. So she called the police. But they never just found the woman. She had described her a woman in her late 20s, about 5'4", slim, with light brown hair and small mark above her right eye. And she was wearing a light blue coat that was worn by nurses. So that kind of made her look official.
What year was this?
In the 1990s.
1990s.
Yeah,
That's
I said
terrifying.
So more and more reports were getting called in about these social workers appearing at homes wanting to investigate or examine children.
No.
So they launched an investigation on it. But these social workers, they had a hard time even finding like proof that they were even happening. They left no trace. There's no evidence and no clear motive of why. The incidences were scattered across the country.
I know.
From urban areas to rural areas, making it difficult to identify any patterns or to catch who was doing it. They were like, who are these people? What are they trying to do? Like, what's the point of this? Like, why are they doing this? And the descriptions had varied. The methods were different, but the fear was all the same with all the people. They would show up. Sometimes they'd have a badge, sometimes they wouldn't, sometimes they'd be dressed like health workers, sometimes they'd look more business-like, but they couldn't find like a common thread to connect them all, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And the media obviously heard about it, so they dubbed them the phantom social workers, and the name kind of stuck. So it wasn't long before the stories became like an urban legend, which made the fear even worse because people, started talking about these phantom social workers. In a response to the growing number of reports, the police established a task force named Operation Childcare. The unit was dedicated to investigating the mysterious individuals and bringing them to justice. But despite their efforts, the task force struggled to find any concrete leads. Like, they had all these reports and frantic parents, but no evidence, no leads, no nothing. The task force was in operation for 4 years, and the members never made a single arrest. because there was nothing they couldn't find anyone.
That's terrible.
When attempting to explain the lack of results, the local authorities looked to the media, who they said played a significant role in hyping the very small handful of cases that could have been real, creating something of an urban legend. So because they couldn't find anything, they were like, I think this is just fear, like a mass hysteria, that this isn't actually something that's happening. People are just thinking it's happening or wanting to be part of the story. Criminologists who worked with Operation Child Care, they try to develop a profile of potential suspects and uncover any possible motives, like a profile of like a serial killer. The best thing they can come up with was pedophiles, women who had lost children of their own, copycats, vigilantes who thought that their task was to save children from abuse, real or imagined. So they didn't even really have a profile. They just threw out a bunch of like, I could have sat here and told you those things. Like, right. I don't need to have a task force to tell you, maybe pedophiles, maybe these women lost their children, maybe they're vigilantes. I mean, those aren't really a profile, really, is it? That's just guesses thrown in the wind.
Yeah, really.
So some theories have been proposed over the years. Some people believe that it all was an elaborate hoax from the get-go, that it was all made up. Others suggest that it could have been an effort with a group of malicious intent, perhaps even tied with child trafficking. But there's been no concrete evidence to ever support any of these theories. So one theory was that they were carried out by individuals with like a mental health issue or personal vendettas, and the randomness in locations and the differing descriptions of the phantoms led to kind of made sense. So they think that maybe there's people that were kind of like vigilantes thinking that they were going to go save children that the system wasn't saving.
Right.
And there's a reason why that these people maybe started. So in the previous decade, in the 80s, there was a major child abuse scandal in the UK. There were 2 physicians who basically abused their power, and it's kind of horrifying. So in the 1980s, doctors named Marietta Higgs and Jeffrey Wyatt devised what they believed to be a highly necessary and controversial diagnostic test for detecting sexual abuse in children. Higgs believed that by using relaxed anal dilation,
also
called RAD, she could irrefutably diagnose sexual abuse in children. The procedure involved examining and at times probing the area around the child's anus.
No.
Based on the area's physiological response, Higgs believed that she could determine if the child had experienced sexual abuse. Other pediatricians used the same technique, but Higgs and Wyatt really put it on the map. They used this technique to justify removing more than 100 children from their homes in just a few months. Pediatricians' criticism didn't seem to matter much at first. Higgs and Wyatt used their methods to refer dozens of children to a Middleborough's hospital for evaluation and treatment for sexual abuse. At one point, 24 children were at the hospital in one single day. So they were just like on this mission to do this weird testing on children and pull them from their home. 24 in a day. Like how many? Why? Not only did Higgs and Wyatt's procedure, it was damaging, obviously. Many experts doubted its authority in determining if it was in fact child abuse. Obviously, it was just some made-up thing that someone thought, oh, I'm saving these kids by doing something that's actually abusing them.
Easy.
Other pediatricians noted that so-called positive responses that Higgs believed to indicate sexual abuse could also turn up in children who had not been abused. Like, it was just a made-up thing. This procedure, along with the hysteria it generated, created a climate of fear and distrust toward child protective services. So there was they were tied in with child protective services. So people started thinking, okay, child protective service, if this is what they are, then I don't trust them. And like the whole vigilante thing, like I'm going to protect children from their parents and the real social workers. So these people started showing up at doorsteps trying to take kids from their homes. So the number of children that were removed from their home actually ended up being what prompted the public investigation of Higgs and Wyatt's methodology. and a woman named Elizabeth Butler Sloth. I don't think she's my relative, but maybe she is. Led a public jury, concluded that a majority of Higgs and Wyatt's diagnoses were incorrect. As a result, 94 of the 121 children who were removed from their homes were returned. So they proved that 94 of the 121 were wrongly.
Which is most of them.
And it probably was even more than that. That was just the ones they could prove. But this also offered up new legislation. In 1991, 4 years after the investigation began, legislators implemented the Children Act. It mandated that social workers should intervene at the absolute minimum. And even if the social worker removes a child from the home, the social worker must make reunification with the family a priority. And the other good part is they made it so that the social worker had to take the wishes of the child into account. Like they had to listen to what the child wanted as part of what they did. Right. This gave a voice to foster children who were a lot of times ignored about what their best interest was. Like they didn't give them a say in it. So this gave them a voice, which was good.
Yeah.
By the mid-90s, the reports of the phantom social workers seemed to basically vanish as quickly and mysteriously as they started. And the investigations, but those that lived through it obviously still have questions like, who are these people and why did they target these particular families? And there's dozens of now grown-up children that still wonder, like, well, why did this happen? In the end, the phantom social workers of England is an unsolved mystery. Was it just mass hysteria? Were there a few cases and then other people tried to like copy it? Or did it all stem from those crazy doctors that did that disgusting exam on children to see if they're child? Yeah. So phantom social workers. Yikes. It was a fun story, but it was interesting. I don't know the answer to it. I tend to think that it might have been some vigilante people thinking, oh, that I go back to the story of that Anne Wiley saying that her son was hospitalized for asthma attack. And then they showed up at her house after it. Did they go to people's homes? Their children were in the hospital for some reason, like to see if they really were abusing their children. And then we're going to, but the whole examination piece is weird. But no children were actually ever taken from their home, which is good.
Yeah. That's still creepy though. Like
the whole thing's creepy and it was never solved. And a lot of people also thought that like the investigators were kind of embarrassed that they couldn't find any kind of anything. So they just pretended that it was, the media hyped it up bigger than what it actually was. Well, you had a task force for 4 years. You all got paid on this task force for 4 years. It couldn't have been that horrible. Like there had to have been some validity to it, or why would you be paid for 4 years? Has anyone ever heard of this story out there? Like if you have, like email us. Have you heard of it? Do you have any theories on why it happened?
I've never heard of it before.
Me either. And I had I don't even know how I found it. I just stumbled upon it and
the best ones are like that.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the phantom social workers in England in the 90s. And in the 80s, there was that whole sex abuse scandal, which I never heard of either. And I kind of wish I didn't know about it, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
I hope it made sense. I feel like I was all over the place. I feel like we've been out of the practice, Margaret. I was like, I don't have my Stella needs to get her groove back here. I don't know.
Yeah, this episode that I have that I wrote out, it's been written out for weeks. Like I've had it for weeks.
Right.
That we just haven't been able to get.
No.
I had this written out since I think the shower.
Yeah.
The baby shower.
It's been like nonstop since then.
Between you and I, and now that I have all the time.
And now I'm busy.
Colleen has
we just switched roles.
We did.
We just switched roles. But if you wanna, you should be following us on Facebook and Instagram. And we always share our episodes on there. And we put pictures to the episodes. So you can put like, visuals to what we're talking about. Not all our episodes are this scattered. I was a little scattered. I felt scattered anyway. So if this is your first time listening, give us another listen. Don't judge it off my episode this time.
Yes.
Listen to our other episodes too. And you can follow us on there and like us on there and leave us reviews on there.
If you'd like to reach out to us, you can send us a direct message through Facebook or Instagram. Or you could send us an email at thecousinsweird@gmail.com. Please reach out to us. We'd love to hear your stories, any comments you might have. Just let us know what you think. We'd like to make an episode too where we share other people's stories, whether it's you telling us and us sharing it, or you coming on the show with us and talking to us.
Sharing your story with us.
Yeah.
That'll be really cool. The best way to support us is to obviously listen to our podcast. Tell your friends about it, word of mouth. Leave us, follow us on your streaming platform of choice and rate us on those, because that pushes us out there for more people to hear about us. But you also can support us on patreon.com/thecousinsweird. For $1 a month, you become a freaky friend and you get free sticker and bonus content. And then for $5 a month, become a Tailbro Trender, you get a free sticker, bonus content, a yearly gift, and ad-free episodes, and an occasional meetup with us via virtually, like Skype. The cool thing is too, for the ad-free episode people, for the $5 a month, they also be able to download every episode. We do custom artwork for it, so you can download those to keep. You also, for bonus content, when we do these virtual episodes, we have recorded video, and you get to see our recorded video of our faces.
Yay! Like today.
You
can see my sweat glistening face.
Yes. And I'm like playing with my bra because it was stabbing me, so you get to watch me do that. That's great.
Let's see if I can get a video of my foot. Recording. Can you
get your leg? Yeah, give him a leg shot, Margaret. Look at that.
Look at that leg shot. I can wiggle my toes. They're nice and orange still from the iodine.
She's got orange toes.
This is my lovely Ace bandage. Is a hard thing in there. But yeah.
So you can see Margaret's leg. Showing a lot of leg on here. That's what the people pay money for that, Margaret.
I know.
That's what the people are paying the money for. Those leg shots.
My leg shots with my neon green shorts I'm wearing with my Zelda shirt. Yeah. That's fun.
Well, friends, I appreciate you sticking through this episode because it was a little all over the place, but we're out of practice. So hopefully if you made it this far, you're true fans and we love you very much.
Yes.
There's cars, there's me forgetting what I was talking about, there's children. Yeah, a little bit of everything.
There is. There truly is.
I think that's it.
All right, stay freaky.
Bye.